Welcome to the Financial Favor Podcast. I'm Todd Fleming. That's Aisley Herndon. And what makes this unique is that she's my niece, I'm her uncle, because that's how that family tree works.
I am 21 years old.
I'm 36, so it's cool to bring two different generations together and talk about financial stuff.
And business and mindset.
Real
and
estate and money.
Life.
And we're like weirdly money positive, and we're totally cool talking about all kinds of money stuff. But we think this is super influential and beneficial for people who need that kind of help and need that kind of leadership that didn't have that in their life. Whether you're, 20, and that's who we're going to be talking about today. Actually, we're going to be talking about
my generation.
Do's and don'ts. Yeah, straight out of high school, your generation. And then we're going to talk about, there's so many preconceived things where like people just see it as truth, where like it's just completely false. So we're going to be talking about, essentially some of those myths. But if you want further help, you can go down in the description. There's going to be links below where you can get free help. You can get paid mentorship, coaching, all kinds of different things. So go down, check out everything below, and you can also follow us on all that social media garbage. So today we are going to talk about, well, what should you do if you're 20?
Do's and don'ts of coming out of high school and into the real world.
Coming out of high school and into the real world.
So age 18 to 21.
Okay, so, well, you just went through it.
I did.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you experienced maybe coming out of high school that you had different situation.
Yeah, my situation was very different. I didn't
you had some unique people in your life.
Yeah, I had a unique situation. I didn't have the same high school experience, so my after high school experience was different.
Yeah, which is why this podcast exists.
Yes,
because of that. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't have the go to high school for 4 years, graduate, and then figure out what to do next with life. I was building a business, two businesses while I was in high school. Yeah. So my junior year, my senior year, I quit my part-time job and was working full-time for myself.
Yeah.
So when I came out of high school, it was a no-brainer what I was going to do next. And I kind of skipped the part of what do I do now?
This is before or after you passed out in the kitchen of Little Caesars?
Well, definitely after. I'll insert the clip
as
here.
we splice in that video footage right now. I don't think we have that.
I do have it. But
you actually have it?
Yeah, no, I have it.
Oh my gosh. Can you actually put that in?
If I remember, I will. I'll toss it in there. That in. Okay, ready, cut. And then we're back. That was me falling, passing out, walking out of the deep freezer of Little Caesars.
So let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts. Like, hey, you're late teens, early 20s. What should you be looking to do, especially on the financial side? Like, all of this will come back to, a financial focus. Obviously, that's our focus, and that's our goal, is to improve you there. But I would say the biggest one for me, it was when I think about your generation, your age, coming out of high school, probably entering college in most cases. What's the biggest thing to focus on? In my opinion, it is to not rush a decision.
That is so true. That's the most important thing you have to do when you come out of high school, is to not rush, because you have so many decisions to make. It's, do I live at home? Do I move out?
I didn't even think about that one.
Do I make new friends? Do I keep the ones that I have? Do I spend money on this or that? Do I go to college? Do I not? If I'm going to college, am I going to a community college, or am I moving out of state, a private college? What am I going to college for? What's my degree?
Are these all things that you actually thought of too? Like those are examples of some of the things that you were going through your head. Like, did you feel rushed?
So we just talked about this. I didn't feel rushed coming out of high school because I was so rushed in high school. When I was in high school, I actually look back and I'm like, I have no idea how I did that. I was like class president at one point. I was student council secretary. I was in like the superintendent's club. So I had meetings with my school superintendent with 4 other kids once a month. I owned 2 businesses. I worked a part-time job. I graduated first in my class. So I was doing everything. So when it was actually the opposite, when I graduated, got my diploma, finished high school, it was like life paused.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, what do I do now?
That is a lot when you list it out like that. I don't even know if I realized.
I was playing sports too.
Yeah, you were softball, volleyball. Or
yeah.
Softball, cheer.
Softball in high school and then volleyball when I was younger. But still.
Well, you did competitive cheer too.
In middle school, yeah.
That didn't go well. You can add it to the bucket though, because that was only a couple of years before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was doing a lot. It was a lot. So I had the opposite experience. However, The reason we're talking about this today is because I have a younger sister, his other niece.
Yes.
And she is 17, graduating high school this year. She graduates in 24. And she's been going through all these motions of, well, I could live at home with mom and dad, or I could move a few hours away. I could play volleyball.
Yeah,
but if
because she's
really good at volleyball.
Excels at volleyball.
Yeah.
She's insane. Yeah.
But it's like, if I play volleyball, I'm going to get a scholarship. But if I get the scholarship, I'm probably going to have to move out of state or move a few hours away and live away from home. So it's like the money aspect. She's juggling with that because then she still lives away from home. I could go to a college close to home that's really cheap, or I could go to a private school. What do I want to do with my life? Do I want to be a nurse? Do I even want to go to college? That's what she's dealing with.
Those are a lot of really good questions. I think that's why, to me, the biggest one is just ensuring that you're not in a rush.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a rush at that point, you're going to make a poor decision. And to put this into perspective, I'm a big believer that if you're 20, 25, in between the ages of 18 and 25, 17 and 25, you can literally punt on the next decade of your life, 10 to 12 years, and only do fun things and not worry about business and don't do anything else other than like experience-based things, and you're not going to be behind anything.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree.
And at that point, if you're 18 listening to this or 20 listening to this and you punt for the next decade and you're still not behind on anything, I mean, that's more than half your life up until this point that you even remember. So think about that. So think about like your earliest memory. You could punt all the way back to that memory forward and still not be behind. I think that's why not being in a rush is so important, because there's no finish line that you need to be running towards.
No, everybody moves at their own pace.
Yeah.
There's no...
Well, we're not taught that.
Yeah, nobody's taught that, but everybody moves at their own pace. Like that's... I think that's the problem that I struggle with now, being 21, even in the last 2 years, even more so with my friends, is there's constantly this feeling, because I had my life figured out. And by figured out, I mean, I was working for myself. I still don't think I have it figured out.
Famous words.
But I actually didn't. But from the outside, it looks like I have it figured out since I was I was like 17, 16. I've known what I wanted to do. I've been successful at it, like, to a degree, whatever success means to everybody. And everybody looks at me and they feel like they're behind compared to me. My sister, not to talk about you, Mackenzie, I love you. She struggled with that for a while, feeling like she was behind because I knew what I wanted to do. And at that same exact time, she was still playing volleyball, still going to high school, not sure what she wants to do. And there's
4 years younger.
Yes, 4 years younger. I'm talking about like when I was 17 versus her being right now.
Yeah.
She looks back at what I was doing at her age, and she did not right now. I think she's kind of moved past it, but like say, a year ago, she was like feeling the pressure, like, what do I do? Because Aisley was doing this when she was my age. And there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
Because 10 years from now, she's going to look back and be like, thank God I went at my own pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what that is, that's basically...
And I'm going to be living in a cardboard box under a bridge. No, I'm just kidding.
Negative talk. Let's talk about negative talk. Yeah, even if it's a joke. So what that is, that's being imposed on her from others, right?
Yes.
So what that is a feeling of... All right, so if you're 20, if you're in between the ages of 20 and 30, this is just a natural thing. You do it. You can't deny it. You can make all the posts and Instagram posts that you want. And
all the infographics, the little girly pop posts that are like, I don't pay attention to other people. You're going to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was going with this. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you post of like, you just can't give enough about it, what anybody else thinks. You're gonna.
It's inevitable.
It's just inevitable. It's how we work.
If you're a person with a phone and social media, you're going to care about other people.
Yeah.
And what they think and what they're doing and where they're at and where you're at in comparison.
Yes.
And you shouldn't, but you will.
Yes. So if you're in that age range, one, just recognize it's okay. But two, recognize that if that is something that you're coming to grips with, just recognize that everybody around you that you are the people that you're worried about how they think about you, they're doing the exact same thing, the opposite direction.
Yes, they're going through the same thing. They're looking at your posts thinking what you think about them.
Yes.
They do not care about you.
Yes.
They're actually probably envious of you. They're probably jealous of the life that you're living, especially because social media, you curate everything you post. You only post the highlight reels. Nobody's posting the bad things that happen to them.
Right.
So they're only seeing, and even if you do post the bad things, it's still to a degree curated. People can be like, oh, I'm so transparent on social media. I'm so honest about my life and the things that happen. You're still in control of what's going on social media. That's the thing. Is like, I can be as transparent as I want, but I'm still controlling what I'm posting.
The curated negative post to bring a reaction is one of my favorite things to read. So I'm so glad that you're aware of that. Like, that's hilarious.
Like, it's real. It's a real thing. And I mean, I get the intent behind it.
Look.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I get the intent behind it where it's like, hey guys, I fail too.
Yeah.
But you're still choosing to post that. So it's not like it's actually like raw. Like,
yeah, some of it's like, I'm going to use these medias as like therapy sessions, which is super dangerous.
Yes.
And then there's other ones that are like, there's an ultimate goal at the end of the post for a certain reaction or commentary or whatever it is.
Thank you. I praise you for being real. Like,
yeah. And it like lifts you back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're between the ages of 20 to 30, just recognize that you worry what other people think. It's fine. Between the ages of 30 and 40, you start to realize that people were worried about themselves and not you. And then after the age of 40, from what I've been told, I'm not there yet. So from what I've been told in the research that I've done, you start to recognize that nobody gives a damn anyways, and that you stop thinking about it.
Sometimes I think I wish that I were around when social media, like I lived when social media wasn't a thing. I'm like, how different would my life be if I didn't spend 3 hours a day on social media because it didn't exist? Not because I choose not to, but because it didn't exist. And I like, did people actually only focus on themselves back then? Was that, do you think comparison was as bad? Do you think everybody actually focused on themselves?
I was just going to ask me any question you want, because I did get
You didn't have social media in high school?
No.
Really? Not even like Facebook?
The iPhone came out in what, 2006?
Oh, really?
I graduated in 2006.
Wow. I'm so disconnected from like age and
It might
time.
have been 2005. 2006 was like when the first iPhone came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do in your free time?
So those social medias that you're talking about, like Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Facebook
Instagram.
was only for Instagram didn't exist. Facebook was only for college students at the time, and you had to be on a PC.
So do you think, from your perspective, that comparison was the ultimate killer then too?
The ultimate killer of what?
Like just your
ambition?
self-esteem,
Self-esteem?
your
it's definitely
mental
up there.
health.
There is a direct correlation between the amount of time that I spend on my phone and how I feel.
Okay.
And this is coming from someone who has a lot of self-confidence, has proof, and understands self-awareness. And
So,
I can understand that, like, if I spend too much time on social media, it's not even that necessarily a comparison game of like, look who's doing well, look who's doing not. And not like that. I'm actually having to fight off negativity.
Yeah.
Because so much of social media, like, you're so connected with everybody. Like, you shouldn't know everything about everybody, but we feel so entitled to know everything about everybody that it becomes exhausting. Like, you're dealing with everybody else's stuff non-stop.
You can't know peace if you're just constantly on social media. There is no peace. There's no peace of mind. You are constantly taking in the rest of the world.
You know what I remember before social media? So like when I was graduating high school, like when I was at your age, or like approaching your age, my main focus was baseball, obviously, which, by the way, talking about like no rush things and like getting into the financial side of it. And you were talking about like, hey, scholarships for Kenzie and everything for volleyball. And like, hey, am I still going to have to take out debt? I went to college for free.
Yeah.
Okay. Played Division I sports, played Division I baseball. I went to college for free. I still had to take out loans to live because you can't have a job during those times. So like, I still had college debt, even though I went for free.
And when we talk about not rushing, that's something that if you were to rush, you wouldn't think about. Okay, sure, college is free, but I'm still going to have to pay to live. And how do I pay to live if I don't have a job?
Exactly.
Like, and it's not that there's something wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the way that you did it. You wouldn't go back and change it.
No.
Not at all. Like, there's nothing wrong with going to college and still playing sports. Don't let anybody tell you, even if it's D3, that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with continuing your life the way that you've been doing it. And if you want to go to college and play sports, even if it's not a D1 team and you're not some scholar athlete, that is okay. Go play sports. Go live your life.
Yeah.
But make sure you think about every aspect of it before you make that decision.
Every D3 athlete just went, whew. She saved me. I'm okay.
It's okay.
So, but when I think about approaching your age before social media, things were so much slower that's why I believe to bring this point home of not being in a rush is so important, because we just didn't have that non-stop push. Like even to this day, being financially free, being in a really successful, financially successful point, being in a confident point, being in a good marriage, having great kids, like having a stable home and everything, there is still a feeling of like next. And I believe that comes from just the environment, right, that is always around us. So I can't even imagine being 18 to your age right now of how much push there constantly is. Like I can't even imagine being a 14-year-old girl and having Instagram.
It's not
I can't
wonderful.
even fathom that.
Yeah.
Like I think about the things that all of us, I'm not just throwing me under the bus, all of us said, did,
especially
the jokes, the fun, like
yeah.
everything that was normal in 2005, 2006, 2007. I'm just imagining that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or that on a Facebook post, or that on like, thank the Lord that we did not grow up in a time in which it was normalized to post what you were thinking on a forum in which nothing can ever be deleted. Like if you say it like that, that's ridiculous. So point number 1, do not be in a rush. If you're coming out of high school, or maybe you're out of high school and trying to figure out if you want to do college, or if you're going to vocational and you're trying to figure out a skill set and you're like, I'm kind of feeling behind, stop all of that. You can punt for the next decade to 12 years to 14 years and not be behind anything if you're just out there experiencing things and learning. So just completely put that to the side and understand that, yes, you're going to worry about what other people think, but it doesn't actually have to decide it doesn't have to be the maker of your decision.
So alongside that, this is a bullet point we had. If you choose to go to college, if that's what you want to do, outside of like all the other decisions of what college you're going to, all of that, if you're choosing to go to college and you're choosing to take out a loan and pay for college, don't choose a degree that doesn't have the potential to pay off. College loans.
Pay off whatever it is that you have to expense to get the degree.
So whatever, if you're going into debt, don't choose a degree that doesn't have the potential to pay off your debt.
Yeah. And that comes from, and this is why not being in a rush was point number 1.
Yeah.
Because everything past this point kind of feeds off of that.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to get a degree in
art,
sociology, or something, right?
Yeah. Theater.
Or casework, things like that. There's a very good chance that your degree costs today $40,000, $50,000, $60,000.
I would say at least 20.
At least 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're 20 to 30 and then you come out of that with a degree going into a job where your ceiling is 40 to 45, you're going to be paying that off for the next 35, 40 years if you ever get it paid off.
And we're not saying, don't take this wrong, we're not saying don't choose a job that you love, don't follow your passions, but maybe you don't have to go to college to get that job.
Yeah.
Is there a potential for that?
Or be aware and understand that even if I'm in debt forever, would I still want to do that?
Yes.
Which is, how do you know that at 18 to 20? I don't think you do. So I think taking time and sitting in the problem brings a lot of clarity.
It could also just give you alternative routes.
Yeah.
Is there a school that I could go to that's a 2-year program that costs less, that could get me the same job?
Yeah.
Is there a way that I can get into it as an intern and work my way up rather than going to college for it and shoveling out the money?
Yeah, through experience.
Yes. You need to sit and think about all of your options, because there might be options that haven't even come to mind yet.
Yes.
Before you put yourself in debt beyond being able to pay it off later in life.
Yeah, I am sure there are people, and you can put it in the comments. I'm sure there are people listening and watching this that are 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 that are either still paying off student loans or just finished up paying student loans, that they thought that they didn't even know what a loan was when they took it.
Yep.
Let alone what interest looks like, how it fluctuates with the economy. A lot of people are seeing their student loans at like 9% when they used to be at 3% right now. They're going like, how do I pay for this? They don't recognize even what kind of debt it is. So not being in a rush and understanding what you're actually taking on for the long haul, for the future, and having a real plan to pay something off is not anything that's taught.
Yeah.
So people aren't having these conversations.
A big piece of me wonders how many of them that are still paying off that debt are still in the field working in the field that their degree was for.
So few.
That's the other thing, is like you just have to, and like, especially when you're picking your college degree, you need to think about like, what could you do with the degree? Like we just that's really important.
You can use me as an example in that.
Yes. What was your degree?
You really can.
Sports management.
Yeah, I was sport management. I can look at the degree on the wall. What was it? Bachelor of Science in Education. I guess I kind of used that, but
I mean, well, when you put it like that,
that's the technical term.
Yeah.
But that is not what that was.
Yeah.
There's only like 4 departments it falls under. Mine had to fall under that, but that's kind of funny actually.
my college degree, Bachelor of Communications.
Communications.
Yes.
So communications degrees are like 70% of athletes because it's the easiest.
Or people who are
I'm
business
allowed
owners.
to say that. I was an athlete. We all did it. Okay. And the other one was business management. Communications, business management was like the top 2. I started off in sports medicine, got kicked out of it. And then I went to, I got kicked out of sports med. And then I went to another one, but it was sports related, but it was medical field related. Got kicked out of that too because, sports training. That's what it was. I got kicked out of sports training, not because my grades weren't good enough, but because the schedules changed. So they were like, you can either play baseball, which is what you're here for. I'm majoring in eligibility. Let's face it. So you can either play baseball or you can stick with this degree. So I got kicked out of the degree. So I had to switch. So I ended up in sport management.
Like an example of not rushing is if I would have rushed into my decision,
In which I couldn't even get a job to tear the ticket off and hand it back to people at the stadium. Yeah.
if I would have rushed into my decision, my first decision was I'm going to go to college at Florida State University.
I think I remember this actually.
And I was like, I'm going to go there. Or FIU, Florida International, one of the two. And I applied for both.
One of them on the beach.
And I got into both.
Yeah.
And I was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost committed to going.
Yeah.
How much debt would I be in right now?
I remember you wanting. I remember you almost going to FIU.
Yeah.
60, right? 50
Yes.
or 60.
And I would have lost.
Because you got to get the degree and live.
Yes, and I would have lost both years of my high school. Like I did 2 years of college and high school, so I would have lost both years of credits.
So you would have,
and had to restart. So I would have gone for 4 years instead of 2.
The time would have been far more valuable of the waste. Like that would have been far more of a detriment, in my opinion, than the money.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And instead, I went to Kent State, right near my house, and
can't write Kent State.
And I had a scholarship, and I ended up paying, I think, probably close to 15 total for my degree, and I paid it off as I went, and it's completely paid off.
Yeah.
And I got a communications degree.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
that decision was made after, like, I sat in it for a while. I was advertising, public relations, but for the lifestyle that I'm living, I decided a communications degree would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that turned out to be a wise decision.
Yeah, because I'm done with it now, and I can focus on all the other things in my life, and I don't plan on using the degree, so.
Well, you're going to continue using, or building your businesses. Like, you understand that you're the value now.
Yeah, yeah. I understand that I could get a communications degree because of my resume that I have and the experiences that I have, where if I were in a pinch and like people are like, oh, plan B, if I need to go get a job, if I need to go for plan B and go get a job, I have a resume. I've owned 2 businesses.
This question we used to talk about at my last job, and I don't think anybody on the sales floor was, well, we're on a sales floor. What degree is that? So none of us.
Yeah.
There was 500 of us on that floor, so it wasn't a single one of us using the degree that we had thought that we were going to need, want, and or have a desire for. Because a lot of the times, to your point, you go get that degree, you come out, there's a lot of other people with that degree. There's nothing about you that stands out, so therefore you don't get the job. So then you have to take a job just to cover the bill, and then pretty soon you're building yourself into an experience of just covering a bill. And like, I remember everything on my resume was all about phone sales. I was like, I hate phone sales.
Yeah.
But it was the only thing on my resume because it's the only job I could ever get. So I just kept going down this path of misery. And I think a lot of people end up on that. They don't recognize that this thing that they're getting, that they believe, this piece of paper that they believe is their answer to getting a job, could very well be their cellar key or their prison key that is locking them into something that they hate because they have to be able to pay for that bill. That's a really scary thought because that's exactly what happened to me.
Next thing that we are going to talk about, financial side of things.
Okay.
You said now is the time to take financial risk because you have nothing to lose.
Nothing except your life. Don't lose your life.
Yeah, well, that's
You have nothing. So therefore, in turn, there is no better time to take risks. The 2 things that you should be focused on right now, if you're college age, exiting high school, even mid to late 20s, you should be focused on taking as much calculated risk as possible. Calculated doesn't mean jump off a building and be like, I'm going to learn to fly. Calculated risk as possible and self-education. And those two things will set you apart for the rest of your life.
Try as many things as possible too.
Yeah, figure out what you actually like.
What do you actually enjoy doing?
Can you name something that you enjoy doing that you never thought you would enjoy doing? Just by being forced to try? Could it be?
Could it be the microphone sitting right in front of me?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like the first, I mean, people will never see those episodes. It's sad. But like, you were shaking on the other side of the camera. You used to be on the back end of the camera.
Yeah.
It's like now that you were on the
Face,
front.
fire truck red. I could feel my skin burning. It was like melting off the bone.
You were a fire truck red.
Oh, sorry. I can't say that in front of you.
And Todd's going to pass out.
He doesn't do the whole BLOOD thing.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't know what it is. Just fight it and start getting warm and fuzzy.
I was so red. I was sweating. I was freaking out. I was like, I hate this. I can't public speak. Don't like talking in front of people. Turns out, actually, if you force yourself to talk in front of a camera or a microphone like this, even though we're the only two people in the room, I've actually gotten better at public speaking in general.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like in front of people in real life, I'm actually better at it now.
You have a growing skill set of communication. You know that you have a degree in that?
I do have Did you know that when I graduated from Kent State University, I learned to communicate effectively? I was officially able to communicate with people.
Yeah. So like, was it the degree that got you better, or was it the practice and self-education?
It was actually the practice and self-education, believe it or not.
Yeah, of course.
And also, funny side note, my degree, I never gave a single speech in front of anybody to get that degree.
No,
because I was in school during COVID.
Oh, so
I did 2
online?
Zoom speeches, but the rest of my classes were all writing. And
how weird is a Zoom speech?
Very awkward.
That might be more awkward than being in person.
It was awkward, but I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say that I.
Oh, you caught yourself. A little negative talk there?
No. I was gonna say that I definitely cheated through that.
Yeah, revoke the degree.
Yeah, if Kent State's gonna come
Zoom call. But either way, so like an example of mine, and I have a reputation upkeep, so tell nobody, is that I secretly like doing yard work.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like going outside. Not lawn care. Like I'm never gonna mow a lawn. That's still stupid.
Yeah.
But like just doing like flower bed stuff for whatever reason is like oddly peaceful.
Okay.
To an extent. Not if it's a huge. I mean, there's a lot going on at this property. So I mean,
it's a lot of landscaping to get done. Yeah.
Yeah. So like not to this extent, but like doing a flower bed here and there for whatever reason is peaceful. Probably because it's physical activity and you're outside and that's a human thing. But
I mean, I love going to the gym. Yeah. I love reading.
Yeah.
I used to love reading when I was younger, and then I went through a phase where I hated it, and I read 2 books this week.
Yeah, reading is a great example. I thought I don't know if I've ever told you this story. So one of my best friends, Brett, he's a doctor. He told me one day, because I told him, I was like, reading's stupid. I hate reading. He was like, no, you're just an idiot. I was like, what is...
Wait, hold on. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean?
And what did he mean?
Yeah, he's like, no, nobody hates reading. And I was like, dude, I definitely hate reading. He's like, no, you're just a moron. And he just insulted me. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, this is insults. He's like, no. He's like, nobody on this planet doesn't like reading. You just don't know what you like to read yet.
I was going to say that's probably true. And I feel like a lot of, especially guys coming out of high school, this is like, we're totally sidetracking right now. But they come out of high school and then they just hate reading because they were taught that reading's stupid and that they should hate it and they should never read a single book in high school, which is fine because I don't like the Pride and Prejudice. I don't like Huckleberry Finn. Okay. I didn't want to read any of that. That's fine. I still don't like those, but you just to your point, you were reading things that you were forced to read things you didn't like.
I can't remember a single time in which anybody took me into a library or a bookstore or anything like that. And they were like, hey, your goal is to find something interesting to you. Okay. So I don't have a choice. I'm going to have to go find something interesting. And at that point, I probably would have gravitated towards sports or something like that at the time. But I would have at least learned that there is something out there that has been published on a piece of paper that I enjoyed spending time with. That would have been a huge developmental piece for me.
I enjoy reading more than I do watching TV or scrolling on social media.
Without question.
Yeah.
Without question. Like, I can't sit down and watch a TV show.
But I can be consumed by a book for 4 hours and finish one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works, but you have to learn what you actually like, such as if you can't cash flow after this or if you can't wholesale after this, I've got nothing for you. Links in the description. So you have to be able to find something that is actually beneficial to you that you resonate with.
Yes. And
so that when he said that to me, that's just a perfect point of like going all the way back to your point of like, try different things.
Yeah.
So like, don't be in a rush. Understand in the future, like financially, if you're taking on a burden, understand what the burden is. And like this thing that you're investing in, which is the piece of paper at this point, not necessarily you, that's the problem. Will it be able to pay you back enough to be able to pay off that debt? And then try new things that you actually like or learn what you actually like, because you're going to be surprised inevitably.
I think that the biggest takeaway from this, if nothing else, this is my encouragement today. You can come up with something else. My encouragement from Aisley. I don't care if you're watching this and you're in high school, you're graduating high school, you're a full-blown adult, you're 60. If you think that you don't like to read, I challenge you to go out and find 6 books of one from each genre and try to read.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean genre?
Like type of book. So like...
You mean like fiction, nonfiction?
Fiction, nonfiction. If it's fiction, like love, like romance, mystery, this like self-education type stuff. Like me personally,
There's a couple in the description.
Yeah. Me personally, I thought I would never like any sort of like nonfiction self-education type deal. Like all the stuff that you read, I thought I would never like that. I just had to ease myself into it because I've always loved like romance and like just the fiction things, mystery, all of that stuff. And I forced myself not anymore. I'm not forcing myself anymore. When I first started, it was like microdosing myself with it though. So I would read a fiction and then I would read a borderline nonfiction, but still interesting enough. So and then a fiction and then a nonfiction.
You have a chaser.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Chaser.
Yeah. Or I will bounce back and forth between the two. So I'll read 2 chapters of one, 2 chapters of another.
Oh, that's impressive. That's going to drive some people nuts that you just said that. I love that. That's well, like the people where their food on their plate can't touch because they're psychos.
It's I'm not reading 2 different storylines. They're not both fiction. One is teaching me something and the other one's for entertainment. But I challenge you to go find a book that you like and ease yourself into it because you'll find more peace in that than television.
The first book. The first book I ever gave you. That's not the right one. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, yes, he picked the word. I still haven't read it. It's
so good though.
I can't microdose that one.
It would help so much.
No, that one is like a full. No, I'm not gonna say that.
The first.
that book's an overdose. I can't. No.
The first book I ever gave her was Ray Dalio's Principles. It's like 650 pages long.
I was like, I need to start reading things that are like good for me, self-education, not just for my enjoyment. He's like, here's this. I was like, perfect. I get one chapter in. The chapter was so long. One chapter. He bought it for me. It's still on my bookshelf with the marker in the page that I stopped reading it 3 years ago.
It's such a good book, though. In defense of that, it can be an intimidating book, but... And I can't remember if I explained this to you or not. You don't have to read that book from front to back.
You should. Yeah, you did. You explained it.
Did I? Okay, yeah. Like you can bounce around and find like what you're dealing with at the time and learn principles for how to overcome it, how to, be scalable in it. But maybe the first book shouldn't have been 650 pages long. Maybe that was too much. I admit that.
Probably
I take ownership of that.
But since we're on this track and we're talking about books and things like that, the last point that we had was your biggest focus should be learning.
Yes. Your biggest focus should be, there's just nothing to lose.
No.
Like you can invest in yourself for any dollar amount. It could be $1 or $1 million and you're going to get more value than what you paid for.
So
always.
If that means
you can't not.
For free, you can get on YouTube and you can watch a million different videos on a million different things you're interested in.
Yep.
Until you figure out what you want to do.
Yep.
You could open, if you like to read, 15 different books and just learn more about the things that maybe you want to do. Magazines. You could be on the street and ask somebody who's doing what you want to do for some help and experience. You could invest in a course.
Yes.
There's so many ways you can do it.
And the sad part is, I think this goes back to the rush thing too, is that most people, especially that 17, 18, 19 range, they're feeling like if they don't go to college, they are less than the people around them because everybody else got this plan and they're all figured out. Like, why don't I have it figured out? Right. People will literally go into debt to invest in something else other than them. Because college, in my opinion, aside from a few specific
Doctors, lawyers, dentists, those things.
the physical therapy, those are like the easy ones.
Teachers
To pick up on and go, yeah, I mean, they're definitely being poured into.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you don't get nothing from college. Of course you get things. You get different experiences too, which is important, which can be really important. But my point is that the mentality leading into college is I'm going to invest in this degree. The mentality is not I'm going to invest in myself. And that is a huge difference. So the second you put time into, to your point, a YouTube video that's completely free at 1 a.m., all about the national debt, that is actually pouring into you, right? Even if the information is good or bad, you can learn what you resonate with and who you resonate with, so therefore you improved. So then maybe you move from that point to buying your first book, and from your first book you buy your first course, and from your first course you buy your first mentorship, from your first mentorship you buy into a partnership, or you start your first business, or whatever it may be. All of these learning steps, right, are investments in you. Meanwhile, the college, I mean, it's hanging on my wall. It's right there.
Well,
University of Akron, Bachelor of Science in Education. That didn't feel like an investment in me. That felt like an investment in the college and in the paper.
Well, that's exactly what it was. That's why I always say I didn't learn anything in college, because I went to college just to get the piece of paper.
Yeah.
And like in hindsight, I'm like, oh, I probably could have tried more. I probably could have, I wasn't making the most out of what I was like going for. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like everything's what you make of it. So I could have made more out of my college experience, but I was going for the piece of paper, just like you said. My situation was a little bit different because I only had 2 years left and it just made more sense for me to finish. But some people do the full 4 years. They go into it just thinking, I just need to get this degree.
This is the other greatest thing that Brett taught me was C equals MD.
Yes.
So even their mentality was like, I just have to get that. That way I can then learn how to be a doctor and then learn how to practice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same mentality there. So even to your point of like, hey, those are the few easy ones that you're actually truly being invested into. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on student debt to be able to then learn how to run their business or learn how to run their practice. So the question becomes like, how can we do that earlier on for as affordably as possible? And affordably as possible doesn't mean money. It means time. So because time is infinitely more valuable than any amount of money, because money is useless until it's used. So if we can learn or shorten our learning curve as much as possible by experience and by learning from people who have already done it, there is nothing more valuable than that. Like if I can go to somebody who's 10 years ahead of me, which I've already done multiple times, obviously, but like I can just go to someone 10 years ahead of me and be like, teach me what you know that took you 10 years and teach it to me over the next 6 to 12 months. And they're like, give me $100,000. Give them the $100,000. Give them the $50,000. Give them the $10,000. Give them the 30. Give them the 5. Give them the 1. Whatever they ask for, give it to them, because you're going to cut off 10 years of learning. And what does 10 years cost you? Millions. And that in these cases in business, like, so whatever that fee is, it's far, far less than what you're going to pay over time if you don't invest in yourself.
And let's backtrack a little bit to college. What we're talking about, this just reminded me. I think a big reason why a lot of people rush into going to college and they end up putting themselves into debt, and even people who end up dropping out of college, is because they have a scholarship. So it's like, I got this scholarship. I need to take this scholarship right out of high school or else it disappears. So if I take a gap year, I don't get the scholarship.
Oh, the gap year.
But,
I forgot that was actually what that was called. It was
the gap year.
It was a gap year.
Yeah.
I forgot it was called that.
So if
that
I
was
take
called
a
that
year,
even when I was graduating. Yeah.
If I take a year off to figure out what I want to do, I don't get the scholarship. So say if your college is $10,000 a year and you were getting $4,000 scholarship. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, you would save like $16,000. You're like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if I don't go now, I lose that money.
This bait sounds awfully familiar to the devil that is the 401k, but I won't get into it. I won't do it right now. I will suppress.
Now,
feels like bait.
Back then, $16,000 was so much money to me.
Yeah.
Now,
you make that a month.
Yeah, I can, yes.
Yeah.
In 1 month.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yes. And I I could do it without the college degree.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about if you decide not to go to college after that gap year, the amount of time, money, energy you saved versus if you went for the year and dropped out after your first year.
Yeah, you have so much awareness around the value of time now compared to others.
I don't care what the scholarship is. If you feel like you shouldn't go to college yet or at all, you should not be going.
Yeah, I don't care if the scholarship's $40,000 a year.
I don't care if your college is free.
Yeah, which mine was, remember?
Yes. I don't care.
Now, obviously, I was going to play ball. But
yeah, you were going for a different reason.
But I still had to take out a loan.
Yeah, but if you feel like you shouldn't be going to college or you're called to something else, you should not be going to college because everybody else is doing it or because you feel the pressure to do it.
Yeah.
That is really important.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's which also feeds into if I have this scholarship and I don't take it, what are people going to think?
That too. Yeah. What are people going to think if I don't go to college? If I take a gap year, they're going to think I'm lazy, I'm worthless, and I'm not doing anything with my life. That's exactly what people will think.
Yeah,
That's what they say.
Yeah. What if I didn't take the scholarship and then on top of that spent money on self-education? I mean, you'd be the most alien person.
If you didn't take the scholarship and you went to your friend's parents' house, your friend is going to college, and you told their parents that, they would look at you sideways like, honey, you need help.
They would try to talk you out of it.
Yes. They'd be like, they would be calling your parents to make sure everything's okay at home.
I have so many jokes right now.
Quiet. Quiet, please. Not the time. Okay. Anyway. But you should stop. I have to cut this out.
No, you don't. No, you definitely leave it in.
Okay.
100% leave it in.
But either way, at the end of the day, that's my biggest.
Because it's real. Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You that goes like all of this is full circle because right here in this like one sentence we talked about not rushing into your decision, what other people think, the financial side of it, and now we're back to square one.
Yeah.
Don't rush into your decision just because you got a scholarship and other people think that you should take it.
Yeah. And the reason I like the way that this was approached too was that it was very principle based. If you read the book, you'd understand. It's very principle based because you can tie smaller details or smaller decisions into what we're talking about. Hey, don't be in a rush. Hey, why is everyone getting a credit card?
You don't need one.
You don't need one.
You don't. You really don't. And if you don't think you're financially responsible enough to have a credit card, you shouldn't get one.
Right. It took me till 36 to use a credit card for my monthly expenses, which I did this month as a test for you. I did.
Really?
I did it. Yep.
Okay.
I used all of our normal monthly expenses. I put on a credit card this month and just paid it off instead of using like just our debit card.
I'm proud of you. We'll see where you go with this.
Yeah, and as a review to it felt fine.
On some other
okay.
advice,
It wasn't like overly exciting, and it wasn't like bad either. It was just kind of
yeah. Some other advice. This reminds me because it's a credit card thing. If you are 18 to 21, please do not let anybody stress you out about retirement.
Oh my!
You do not need to open a 401k. You do not need a Roth IRA right now. You don't need to do anything. There is no reason to do anything right now until you know what you
realize you're going to bust out the spreadsheet warriors now.
They're going to be angry and they're going to be like, well, those 3 years will change your life.
If you start at 18, by the time you're 71, you'll have $1 billion. Like, yeah, but you might also bury yourself into a corner of debt and misery because you don't know what to do yet.
Yes.
The smarter thing to do would be, instead of locking your money up, would be to learn how to pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first, put it away, and don't use it.
Yeah, get a separate account that's away from you. Okay, it doesn't have to be a retirement account either. It can simply be an account that you're going to learn how to use your funds. You're going to learn how to use your revenue. You're going to learn how to use your money that you earn and create.
Yes. And then when you're ready,
you can start deploying it.
Yes, I just got to that point.
Yeah, and the things that you actually might care about or might want to check on or might want to be a part of because you're trying different things. So whether it ends up being real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever it ends up being, alternative assets, businesses, whatever it may be, if those are the things that end up interesting you, being of interest of you, those are the things you're going to do the best with at the end of the day, and you are going to be in control. We want you in control in the long run.
Yeah, when I first the first 2 years out of high school, everyone was like, oh, I'm doing this job and I have a 401k and I opened an IRA and I am doing this and that. And everyone's like, what are you doing? And me, the business owner, the only one out of everybody that I know that was making six figures.
Or even had any money to put into it.
Yeah. I'm like, nothing. And I went to Todd and I was like, am I supposed to be doing something with this? And it took 3 years for me to be to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm ready. Let's invest somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do I make maybe a short-term investment, or maybe or you're learning how to actually invest.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when you do better off the front, guess what happens, spreadsheet warriors? In the long run, you do way better too.
Yeah. Well,
instead of just handing it to somebody and praying and crossing your fingers and going, hope it works.
This has been a topic that has been very near and dear to my heart because one, my sister, and then two, I work with seniors all day, every day. That's another reason why I've been thinking about this, is because I walk with them at photo shoots 7 days a week and have conversations about their future and what they're doing. And I give them this exact advice.
Oh, right. I was going to say,
it's pretty similar to this, depending on what their situation is. I
was going to say, do they actually talk about it?
Yeah, they talk about what they want to do, where they're headed. So often the answer is, I don't know what I want to do.
Do you hear? Yeah, you hear a lot of red flags. Like that?
A lot of I don't know, and then they're like, I think I'm just going to go to college, and you're like, well, what are you going to college for? What do you want to do? And then and then their parents are behind my back, stabbing me in the back with their eyes, like, don't tell my kid not to go to college. While I'm like, you don't have to go if you don't. Just take some time, But,
remember when I used to do that with you and your dad used to...
And he would be the one with daggers in your back.
Hi, Craig.
Lasers out of his eyes, looking right at you.
I was always respectful of that, though.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. You can share opinions and share options while being respectful. I don't think a single time I ever told you not
No,
to
you
go to
never
college.
did. You never said don't go to college.
But I always said have a plan.
Yeah.
Or like, why? I asked why a lot.
Why do you want to go to college? Why do you want that degree? Why do you feel the pressure to do it?
Yeah.
And you should be asking yourself that. If you're watching this and you're, coming out of high school, ask yourself, why am I going to college? If you're not getting a degree and you're not, like, you don't even know what you want to do, why do you feel the pressure to go?
Are you first with a college degree in your family?
No, my mom.
Does your mom have one?
My mom has one.
She does? Okay.
My mom was the first in her family. I'm the first on my dad's side.
So there was like some importance there.
Yes, because he never got the opportunity to get a college degree.
Oh, he had to be an adult
really
when he was
important.
12. Yeah.
He fought tooth and nail to be where he is now. So it's really important because he felt like it was going to put me ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's important to be respectful of that, because that's a totally different perspective and understanding.
Another thing, just like riffing off of all of this, is your parents, most of the time they just want the best for you based on their experience in life. So no, I don't think that I needed the college degree, but my dad, because of his life experience, he felt that it was really important that I had one.
Yeah.
And that was him doing the best by me. So,
and he's in a great spot now.
Yes, he is.
Without one.
Yes. But it was really hard for me to get
You want to
there.
talk about skill sets. Like, I don't know of a guy, I don't know of a person with more valuable skill sets than I always say, like, he actually has skills.
You could hand him a toothpick and a paperclip and
stick of
some
bubble gum,
Elmer's glue, and he'll build a house.
He'll build you a mini mall.
Yes.
Yeah, a house isn't big enough.
Sorry.
He'll build you a mini mall.
Yes.
Yeah, he's that guy. He's incredible.
But to wrap this up, 1, don't feel rushed.
Yeah, don't feel rushed.
2, if you decide to go to college, pick something that has the potential to pay off your college, or at least go in with the understanding that you're okay with being in debt for the rest of your life.
Yeah, or just understand that there's a responsibility that is coming directly behind your decision that you can't see yet necessarily, that is going to be your sole responsibility for a period of time.
Yeah.
So you should have a plan for it.
3,
and if you're not comfortable taking that responsibility, don't do it. It is okay to not do it then.
Yeah. Or just to sit on it longer.
And understand that when scholarships are being given, here's your hot take. When scholarships are being given, it's not for you, it's for them.
Yes.
It's for the school. It's not for you.
Yeah.
They want to look better, so they make more. They're for-profit entities.
Yeah.
So just like when a bank sends you an offer, they're like, we can give you this great offer. It's not for you. It's for them to make money. So a scholarship's not for you. You have earned the right to be sold. That's what a scholarship is.
Number 3, everybody's thinking of themselves, not you.
Yes.
Number 4, now is the best time to take financial risk. You have nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose.
And the final one, biggest focus should be learning and self-education.
Yes. Focus on yourself. Focus on getting better and building skill sets, and it'll take you a long way. Wealth is cause and effect.
Yeah.
Lots
If
of
you
cause and effect.
made it to the end of this video and you have any questions,
Put it in the comments.
drop them down below.
Yeah, please. And we are doing more and more reactions and analysis of your guys' financial decisions, which has been a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
So please put those in the comments and then share.
DM them to us if you want to be anonymous. Send us your
Yeah.
questions, your stories. We will answer them on the podcast if you want your story to be anonymous.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do that on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, all the fun social media stuff. And then we will be able to go over those in a live episode, which is a lot of fun.
It's been real.
Thanks.
You didn't do them.
Oh, the hands.
Okay. All right, charge that battery while you go meet Cash's.
Are they here?
Well, I don't know.